really good. All right, well, let's make a start. I want to I want to move more into minor scales. We did touch on them last week, but I think it's always nice to revise minor scales, just because there are so many and they have so many different alterations. And if we're lucky, we'll go into some more chords, and maybe we'll touch on modes. But I'm probably being a bit adventurous, thinking we'll get into that. Okay, so you can hear the piano. Everyone's happy with that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good. So, as I mentioned, we have our natural minor. We have our harmonic minor. And we have our natural again. No, melodic minor. Melodic minor. So, this guy is going to be all the natural notes of the relative major. So this is an A natural minor. And generally when we draw scales, all you need to do is just occupy all the notes. So you should be able to occupy every note in every space between the lower octave and the upper octave. Generally that you won't see two notes on the same line. So I'm going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And all I need to do for the harmonic minor is raise the seventh. And then for the melodic minor, A, B, C, D. For the melodic minor, I'm going to raise the seventh. Raise the sixth, raise the seventh. On the way back, I will make them natural. Okay? And that goes back until we hit A again. All right, how does everyone feel about that? Yeah, pretty clear. So we've got... That's our A natural minor, contains all the components of C major scale. So it's the relative minor to C major. A harmonic minor will have our raised seventh. Hear that a lot in quite a lot of classical music and sometimes in jazz. And then we have our melodic minor. So the melodic minor, the last half of it, as in like the 1, 2, 3, 4, these four notes are the top half of the A major scale. Which is an interesting point. So it starts off minor, and then when you raise the sixth and seventh, it actually equals the notes of the A major scale. But then when you come back, you naturalize them. Okay, you're not going to have too much use for that scale, unless you're taking exams. And then I mentioned last week the jazz melodic minor. Generally, jazz players will play the melodic minor, but they won't naturalize the notes on the way back. All right. Any questions on that so far? No, pretty straightforward. You guys rock. So let's touch on... Maybe I will touch on modes just for a moment. It's a bit cheeky of me, but why not? So every scale degree has an associated scale. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Scale degree 1, scale degree 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each of these notes have a scale. So if I play C to C, those playing at home, modes are named after... They were created a long time ago, and they use Greek terminology to refer to them. And it moves away from Western music just for a moment. So I'll explain a little bit more, and hopefully you start to catch on as I go. So C to C is a scale, D to D is a scale, E to E, F to F, G to G, A to A, and B to B. So I can play C to C. That's our major scale, but it also happens to have a different name, which I'll explain in a moment. And D to D. So each of these notes, if you play one note to the octave up and still use the components of the C major scale, you're playing what's called a mode. And it just so happens that the relationship of these notes create a slightly different sound. So probably the most... Actually, no, I'll keep going. I'll let you know what the names are first. So, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian.
No.
I'm trying here, Carrie. No. Aeolian. Oh, sorry. Aeolian. Locrian.
Sorry.
So, a Dorian mode. Dorian mode. So what's important is to have the lowest note be that note that you're playing. So the D Dorian mode is D to D using the C major. So it's the scale that's built on the second degree of the C major scale. That's what the D Dorian is. Okay, so if you say to me, play G Dorian, I'm going to play the second degree. This scale is going to be based off of the F major chord. How are we doing so far?
I'm lost.
Yeah, that's all right. Let me backtrack a little bit. So C major. Also, C major is also referred to as the Ionian mode. Okay.
Yeah.
The next mode that's based in the C major scale is going to be built off of the second degree of the C major scale. So it's going to be built off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play all of the C major notes, but build it on top of D, the second degree.
Okay.
So I'm going to go D. So just as I said to you the other day, there are an infinite amount of scales, and for every different pattern you play, there's a new scale. So instead of all I'm doing is I'm still playing the notes of the C major scale, but I'm just changing the focus. So exactly how I play my C major scale before. And yesterday I said we shift the focus to play the minor scale. So it's exactly the same notes of the C major, but it doesn't sound like the C major anymore, mainly because of how the notes relate to each other and also the low bass note. Now, just as there is the A minor scale, every other scale degree has its own pattern, has its own note, and has its own color. So the D Dorian scale is this. So I say D Dorian. Dorian means that it's based on the second scale degree of the major scale, and D is the starting note. And you'll hear this in a lot of kind of folk, Irish sometimes stuff. Okay? Just to give you a bit of an example. This is a little bit advanced, so I'm a bit naughty for throwing this your way.
Do all of these were the Eon? I've forgotten what they're called.
The first one?
Yeah.
Is the Ionian?
Ionian.
Yeah, that's an I, sorry.
The Dorian and all of these. So these all indicate the C major scale, but starting on different notes. So going up, is that right? Or is it not particularly the C major scale? It's just the...
So we're just using C major as an example at the moment.
As an example. Okay,
but
so...
I can run through a different scale if you like.
So what you just played would be called like the C major Dorian scale, is that right?
Yeah, and we just refer to it as D Dorian. Because
Dorian.
Dorian implies that it's the second degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order to work out the second degree, we have to work out the major second interval. And so a major second interval down from D is C. So someone says D Dorian. Okay, it's the second degree. Second degree of what? I have to work out a major second under it. So you could give me a note now if you want, at random.
Out of
Any note, and preferably in the Western music scale. Just anything.
B.
C?
B.
Oh, B. So say, for example, it's play B Dorian. Okay, so I found my B, and Dorian implies that it's the second degree, and in order for something to be the second degree, I have to find a major second underneath it. So major second is 2 semitones. 1, 2. So I'm going to play the notes of the A major scale, but I'm going to begin on B and end on B. How'd you go with that? So second degree of any major scale. So for example, G major. It's a G major. Instead, now I'm going to play the second degree note, but I'm going to start from that note and end on the note at an octave up. So it's really important that you end on that octave up. So I'm playing exactly the same scale, G major, but I'm starting on A and ending on A. Yeah? So F major scale.
makes an A D Dorian.
F major. I'm now going to start the scale on the second degree, but play the exact same notes. That's G Dorian.
Wow. Okay, cool.
B flat major. I'm going to play the second degree, which is C, but play the B flat major scale. Thing is, this can be I'll just sort of, if you do anything, just focus on the Dorian for now. Don't get over inundated with the other modes. And if you're still familiarizing yourself with the scales themselves, then by all means, stick to scales. But there'll come a point where maybe you just sort of want to play around with this Dorian scale, and all one would do, say if you're in C major, is play what's called a drone. And drone is say for example, you're listening to bagpipes. Doom. There's a low note, that goes pretty much forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the low note's really important for giving the ear context as to what key we're in. And if you play any C major note, we get the quality of Dorian. Like, it sounds a bit dark. It doesn't sound major anymore, even though I'm playing the notes of C major. Sounds a bit mysterious, a bit suspense. Now, if I move my drone note to C, it's a bit... I'm playing the exact same notes. There's a slightly more uplifting feeling. I'm going to change the drone back to D. So the kind of take-home message is that we can change the bass note and still play the major scale, but the sound, the feeling that we get from the sound is actually quite different. Does anyone have any questions on that? Aside from why and what the hell and why'd you do that to me, Daniele? That's a thing that will hopefully, as you move more into scales, it'll start to open up and blossom the more you learn. But I wouldn't fret too much if it's...
What was the seventh one called? Sorry, I just missed that.
Oh, the seventh. Sorry, Locrian. Do you want me to bring that back?
That's the only one I missed. Is it L-O-C?
Okay. Yeah, Locrian. Locrian's the least popular. It's just not a very nice sound. I think it's just the most misunderstood. All right, Bridge Over Troubled Water. Shall we have a look at this?
Yeah.
So already, my first chord. What inversion is this? In terms of root
So-
first and second.
C major with the G played on the left hand as the bass note.
Yep. Correct. And there are 3 types of inversions. There's root position, there's first position, and second position. You guys familiar with that? Do you want me to elaborate on that?
Yeah, can you elaborate a little bit?
So here's my C major. Oh no, sorry. C major. First inversion is going to bring the C up an octave, just the note C. Second inversion is going to bring the E up an octave. Yeah, back to first inversion. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So,
Is that the little line indicating that? Is that what's showing that it's going up?
the slash,
Yeah.
the slash to the G.
Is that what it is?
This guy?
So above that chord, C/G. Yeah.
C slash G implies that it's a C major chord, and the lowest note you're going to play is a G note.
Yeah. And then what's indicating that you're playing on the octave above where you just jump to the 6?
So, to be honest, the octave that I've chosen is kind of superfluous at the moment. So,
Right. Okay.
so as I said to you before, this is my C major in root position. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So that would look like C, just plain C. That is to say, if so the bass player would be playing C. Okay, so there's 2 ways of looking at inversions. There's C major, root position, and in a theoretical context, usually they're just asking you about the chord itself. And I'll go on. I'll move on in just a moment. I'll elaborate in just a moment. So if it just wants me to play a C in root position, it's just going to say C. If it wants me to play C in first inversion, it's going to say C over E. So see how E is the lowest note? Yep. And then if it wants me to play C in second position, second inversion, it's going to say C over G. Does that kind of clarify your question? Yeah. Just so happens in this composition, it's not just, when you're accompanying someone, it's not just enough to play this chord like that. You would need to put some of it in the bass. Because that is the sound. It's not just this, it's the G and the bass that's really important. Okay? So that's a C second inversion. Does anyone have any questions on that? Happy chaps? All right. Now, what position do I play the G in? The next chord.
Just root.
Yeah. Root position.
God, now when I see just a plain chord like that, I'm like, wow, simple.
Boring.
Boring.
What about F? F.
Just root again.
Just root. What about G over F? That's a weird one.
Is that first inversion?
So this is it's a slightly tricky one because sometimes the inversions don't always. Sometimes the way the symbol's written is actually telling us more about the bass note than it is about the actual chord.
Right. Yeah.
So here it's actually just saying play a G chord and put an F in the bass. So,
Right.
because F is not in the G major chord.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's actually just telling me still play a G chord, but play an F in the left hand. I wouldn't play an F in the right hand. If it said G7 over F, now G7 is... Can you remind me what 7?
Is the seventh note flattened?
Flattened. Yeah.
Yes, flattened. Yep.
What note's that going to be?
I don't know the keyboard in front of me.
E?
Close.
F?
So G. Yeah.
No, wait. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha, right.
Yeah, good. Nice. So that's my G7. If I said G7 over F, totally. I'd play the F in the right hand. That's my chord, but it's saying G over F, which is implying that don't play any F in the right hand, just play G chord. Whereas the first chord says C over G. Okay, well G is in the C major chord, so I'm still going to play a G in the right hand. So right now the chords sound like this. C over G, once we do a bit more rhythm, this chord lasts for 3 beats, and then the G is placed over the 4th beat. The F is placed over 2 beats, 1, 2, and the G and F is placed over 1 beat, and that F sharp diminished 7, we'll go over that in a second, is over 1 beat. So it's going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So that was those 2 bars, except the F sharp diminished. So it goes 1, 2, 3, G chord, F, G over F. Now, of course, the notation is actually completely different, which doesn't help. It's just a little bit different. But the chords give you the rough idea if you had to sort of fluff your way through. Shall we talk about that F sharp diminished 7? That cheeky guy. Cheeky one. Now, diminished chord. So we just think about the diminished first. Diminished chord is made up of 2 minor thirds. So F sharp, how many semitones is minor third?
3.
3. 1, 2, 3. And then one more minor third. 1, 2, 3. That's my F sharp diminished chord. Diminished chords are rare and you won't see them often, but the more you practice them, you'll see them enough to warrant kind of familiarizing yourself with them. So that's my F sharp diminished. I haven't thought about the 7th right now. Now the 7th is going to be a minor third above that. So I've got my first minor third, second minor third, and that's my 4th minor third. And that's my F sharp diminished 7. So anything diminished 7 is going to be made up of 3 minor thirds. How are we doing with that, friends? Any questions? Yeah. All right. Excuse me. All right. We have this guy again. C6. What notes am I going to play? Without even thinking about the 6 for now.
Then the C major, but starting on the E with the G in the left hand.
Yeah, let's do a step-by-step process. So right, yeah, wizard. Witch. It's good. So this is me being my teacher hat on. So first step first, I go C. Okay, good. So C, E, G. And then my 6th degree. What's the 6th degree? So I was playing a 7th.
A.
Yeah, A. Yeah. Nice. And then we play the G in the bass. To be honest, the inversion's not actually at this point. This is what I was explaining before. The inversion isn't exactly indicating what your right hand should do. It's indicating what both hands should be doing. So as long as there's a G in the bass and you're playing some form of C6 in the right hand in any inversion, meanwhile, as soon as you add one extra note to a triad, you get one extra inversion because there's one extra combination. So C6, first inversion, then I'll go to my second inversion, then I'm going to go to my third inversion. All I'm doing is just getting the bottom note and popping it up, popping it up, popping it up. The thing is, we look for inversions in the right hand so it's easier to play. Okay? And this will make a bit more sense as we're moving between chords. But yeah, that's our C6 over G. So we've just moved from F sharp diminished 7. That's F sharp diminished 7. Notice I'm playing an inversion in my right hand. Bonus points. Who can tell me what number inversion that is?
I was thinking about the chord.
Yeah, I know. So I'll go back a second. So I play the root position in the left hand. So that's my F sharp diminished 7, sorry, F sharp diminished 7. And now I'm going to play an inversion in my right hand. Oh, nope. So in my left hand, there's the root position. In my right hand, there is the inversion of some description. So it's going to have a number. Second. Nice. Second note. So I'm building the inversion off of the second note. Oh, sorry. Blah, blah, blah. The second combination, not the second note. That's kind of rude. What are you saying, Daniele? Anyway, is everyone happy with that? Awesome. So there's our haunted music. You know, tragic kind of horror stuff. G minor 6. Okay, here's a new guy. So let's find our G minor. Who can tell me, say we've approached a minor chord we just don't know very well. The first step I would want to do is find my major chord. G major. Yep, I want to flatten the third. And then the 6, in this context, is just going to be the major scale degree 6. And the 6th degree in G major is what? It's kind of already there, but...
E.
E, yeah. Oh, sorry. There's my 6th degree. You could take a different approach. You could...
Slowly one more time. So I get how you found the major D with D, and then you flatten the third. So you got C sharp, G, B, C sharp, and then
B flat.
That?
So
Sorry,
I went G major, and then the third.
Yeah, what am I looking at?
Just want to make sure that you understand that the third is the third scale degree of G major.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Rather than the third note. And to find the 6th degree, all I did was just go through my G major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my 6th note. So all I'm doing is just piece by piecing it together. So I already found my G minor chord, and then now I found my scale degree 6, and I'm just going to add it all together. Did that clarify things a bit better?
Yes. Yep, got it. Thank you.
Awesome. So it's nice to have a step-by-step approach. So, you know,
So you
sort of
go
like...
through the G major scale to find the 6th, not the G minor scale to find the 6th?
Yeah. It's just it's an easier approach. You could go through the G minor. Firstly, there are 3 minor scales, and you can easily kind of trip yourself up. So G minor, the 6th degree is actually E flat.
Yeah.
So it's actually pulling from a slightly different scale, and that's why it gets a little bit confusing. So if you just approach it from the major scale, you'll play the right chord. Now, if I play the minor 6, that's an E flat. That is an E flat major 7, so it's no longer a minor 6. That's an E flat major 7. Oh shit!
Okay.
I have a meeting with Georgia. Friends, I'm gonna have to wind up. Any questions?
Oh, is that time already?
That's time. Yeah.
That goes so quick.
So just
So
quickly,
much fun, right? Yeah.
just quickly, so you'd always use the major scale to find the 6 or 7?
Always.
All right. Okay.
Always. The minor 6 is actually going to create a completely different chord.
Okay.
So always pull it from the major 6. Technically, it is coming from a particular kind of minor scale, but it's
too complicated.
in the dark corners of music theory land.
Okay. So just
That
go.
yeah. And then you'd move on to your A7, and if you guys remember, A7 is the major 7, but flatten the 7th. So pretty much only the 7th you do that kind of flattening business. So far I've got C over G, G major, F major, G over F, no F in the right hand, F sharp diminished. I'm going to find the easiest way to move to F sharp diminished from my G major chord. This is why inversions are important. So I went G major, there's my F sharp diminished, because it's the closest that my fingers can go to. Then C over 6, C6 over G. What's the similar notes? The C and the A. All I'm going to move are these notes. G minor 6. Sorry, that's a bit cheeky. G minor 6, pure G minor 6. A7. Okay. I don't expect you to clock all of those, but I do encourage you to go in front of the piano, and I think what's going to aid you most is if you keep working on your chords and scales, and eventually your sight reading will improve. Or not even just your sight reading, but your ability to go, okay, what's an F minor 6? All right, F major, flatten 3rd, and then 6th degree, F minor 6. And then how do I get from an F minor 6 to a C major chord without moving too much? We'll talk a bit more about voice leading tomorrow, because it'll improve your playing a whole lot. Thanks, friends.
Thanks, Daniele.
Thanks, Daniele.
You guys are great. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.